Well, he wanted to go to the next stage anyway, didn't he?
We have the mics, Heather? Sorry. I think someone needs to call us. You wanna go get her? Where is she? She's in her office. We forgot that. Thank you. this time, the chair would like to recall to order the Suffern Central School District Board of Education special meeting of May 16th, 2019. Let the record reflect all board members are present with the exception of Mr. Paul Shapiro, who had a conflict that he could not reschedule. Kindly stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To start, I would like to apologize on behalf of myself and the Board of Education for our delay. We were scheduled to come down earlier than now, and we had a serious legal matter that presented itself that required time upstairs. So I apologize for your wait. Secondly, the chair would like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add a statement by the Board of Education, a brief statement. Motion?
Move.
Mr. McKenzie. Second?
Second.
Mrs. Reamer. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Mr. Colonel, is a yes? All those against? Any abstains? Sir Donley's a yes to amendment? Yes.
I was.
Thank you, sir. The statement will be read first and prior to public comments. This is a statement on behalf of the Board of Education of the Suffern Central School District. A serious breach of executive session confidentiality has been identified, and an internal and external investigation shall take place imminently. We cannot discuss this any further tonight. Thank you. Public comments. Please approach the microphone. State your name and affiliation with the Suffern Central School District. And Mrs. Campbell is going to alert us to the 3-minute limit. There will be 2 periods of public comments. This is only regarding agenda items. The second public comments are non-agenda items, so there will be a second one. There is no action item on this agenda, and this is the only statement we will make today. Seeing there are none, we will close the segment. We'll proceed to superintendent comments, acting superintendent comments. No comments. Thank you, Dr. Castaldo. Public participation on non-agenda items. Again, a 30-minute interval. In total, 3 minutes per speaker.
Got no mic, so I'm just going to speak up.
I apologize. Do you want? Yeah, this first.
Thank
I'm sorry about that.
Hi, how's everybody doing tonight? My name is Greg Flanagan. I'm the Vice President of the Custodial Maintenance Organization, and we have a little prepared statement here. The Custodial Maintenance Organization has come here tonight to express our displeasure with the school district contract negotiation team, which is comprised of the acting superintendent, a handful of school board members, and their high-priced attorney who acts solely on their behalf. Contract negotiations are supposed to be entered into in good faith by both parties. The Custodial Maintenance Organization has entered into these negotiations in completely good faith, while the district team has completely and intentionally failed to do so. Aside from their unwillingness to engage in any type of meaningful negotiations, there are members of the district team, including members that sit on the school board, that have been actively engaged in conversations with a building maintenance contracting company, which we view as a violation of good faith. And being that the Custodial Maintenance Organization had no prior knowledge of these interactions, we are only left to assume the worst. In closing, we expect and deserve to be treated much better than this. Thank you.
Any further comments, please approach the microphone.
We would welcome a rebuttal.
Well, we have board member comments when it's appropriate, so it's
We
the
welcome,
turn of the public right now.
we welcome it.
Seeing there are no additional public comments, we will close this segment. And actually, I bypassed the board member comments. I wasn't sure if any board members have comments, but I will advise Mr. Fleming. Any further comments? Board members? Yes, I did it in the wrong order.
Does anybody else?
No.
I don't have to go first.
Go ahead.
I was, we're out of order here, and I was actually going to just say a little something about what Mr. Flanagan just got up and said. There has been a lot of, at least I've been hearing, a lot of rumor, chatter, whatever you want to call it, about the custodial contract, about meetings that have been had with facilities management companies, and I just want to make sure that we do the right thing as a board, and I need to make sure that we're all provided the proper information, and if that's not happening, then it needs to happen. But I was going to say this before you got up, so I wouldn't take this as a rebuttal. This was sort of prepared before you spoke. But in any event, I just wanted to again say that we should be very careful in the types of meetings that we have and who's present in those meetings, and that's all.
Mr. Reamer?
I haven't heard any rumors, and I've been at executive sessions, and that's all I could say. I was under the impression everything was going fine.
Mr. McKenzie, any comments? Mr. Cairns? Mr. Donald?
I too would like to resolve our issues with the custodians, and also the secretaries. These are two units that work their butts off, and I would really stop nickel and diming them. Let's get this thing done and give them a fair increase that's fair to the taxpayer and to our employees.
I think we could all agree that that's what we would like to see happen. The best thing that the new board has done this past year is actually change policy, and that is the opportunity for us to speak to you. Before this, we just had to sit here and whatever you came up to say, whether it was a mistruth or an absolute lie or whatever the case may be, we just had to sit here. But now we have the opportunity to really speak to you. And I would like to go on record as saying, number one, I shall never ever sign a contract, okay, to sell the Hilburn Board of Education building. This building, okay, if you're not aware of it, okay, was designated as a historical site in 2016. In 2015, it was on the New York State Registry for Historic Sites. Even the possibility of trying to sell it would be extremely difficult, but more importantly, okay, this building is not only something for this community to share because of Supreme Court Justice Thurman Marshall, but he is a civil rights leader, and what he did in terms of Hilburn helped fight civil rights and move it forward and so forth. And any idea of losing this building, okay, is absolutely crazy. As a history teacher, I've taught civil rights in terms of what's going on, and you really have to know that Thurgood Marshall, we had the opportunity of meeting him down in, we had the opportunity of meeting his wife and her son down in Washington when I took the students from RCC there. They they speak about this case. This was one of the most important cases. This is a building that goes along with it. Let's not think of closing it. Let's not think of selling it. Let's try to think of how we can basically redevelop it. I've spoken to some people in the community. The idea is maybe making part of it a museum dedicated to Thurgood Marshall. You know, the whole idea of losing a building like this, okay? Are there repairs? Yes. There are grants out there. There are people throughout the United States of America in the civil rights movements. If you can contact them, okay, and get them to understand what's happening and what you want to do, you can save it for posterity. 200,000 people every summer go up to Bear Mountain. They come by here. This is something that I think we really have to develop. It's part of our history for the community, and it's really part of the civil rights history that you would be destroying if you decided to close or to sell this building.
We as a community already did that, just so you know.
I'm sorry, please don't answer.
Sorry.
Mr. Cairns, are you done?
I think that's it.
Thank you very much. Coincidentally, there will be a ceremony to dedicate part of Route 17 that goes through the Hillburn, village of Hillburn, as the Justice Thurgood Marshall Highway. This ceremony is taking place tomorrow at 11 a.m. The public is invited to be there and to show our pride in our neighborhoods and the history that we have, that we should be protecting and very proud of. So the naming of the highway is at 11 a.m. There's supposed to be a reception to follow, and if it's raining, I don't know what the weather's supposed to be tomorrow. Great. So it's going to happen outdoors. I believe I sent the information to all board members. If you've checked your email, where everybody's going to assemble by ANJ. Yep, what's it called? ANJ. Breakfast something. Breakfast cart or a lunch cart or something to that effect. So if anybody is interested in showing up, I'm sure it's open to the public. Senator Carlucci and Assemblywoman Jaffe had spearheaded the National Historical Site dedication of this building in 2016. And this is another step to maintain this history that happened in this building, which is very important. The second thing I'd like to say is that, Mr. Flanagan, usually there's no rebuttal, but I'm just going to clarify. I was invited to a meeting right here in this room last week. Monday? This week, Monday?
It was Monday.
It was, okay. And I rushed over here from work, and I didn't hear anything that had to do with facilities whatsoever, or that in any shape or form I understand as a conflict with your great work, you and your amazing team.
Well, I was under the, not to interrupt you, but I was under the understanding that Angus was also in that meeting.
Yes.
With you.
Yes, the president and the vice president of the board were
Yes.
invited to attend, not to make any decisions, no.
Well, if you're looking at outside companies, you're looking to replace us.
Okay, so I'll clarify what I learned at the meeting, and we're not gonna go back and forth, but I'll
Yeah.
clarify, because I like to make it clear. It was a company that was represented at an exhibitor hall in our state convention, and what they do is they look at utility bills for a couple of years past, and they look at where the district could possibly, and actually I'm gonna report on this on Tuesday, but since you're here and asking, I'm happy to report. They look at where the district can save funds on utility bills and do an analysis of all the utilities, whether the heating, the electric, all of that. I understand the district is in some sort of an agreement that's very similar already, so the question to the administration for them to enlighten us whether it's possible to go from one to the other, but one would replace the other if that was legally possible. So we don't know the answer to that, and no recommendations were made to the board. So it's on the agenda for Tuesday to actually say what I'm saying now, and I'm going to repeat it then. And so there's been no decision made, and it has nothing to do with our custodial staff. At least there wasn't any mention of that at all in the meeting I attended. The exciting part of the meeting to me was showing funds saved from the utility bills. If a district could save funds, how they're being used. They're being used to create some of the amazing spaces that we already have, like the creator spaces and the more modernized, more functional libraries, and a recording studio for the students that is pretty much 21st century. So the money is used back to the kids and back to the students. But it had nothing to do with our facilities staff. At least I didn't hear one word about that. And you know that we would not allow that. The other thing I'd like to clarify, there are no board members at the negotiating table for any of the contracts with our collective bargaining groups. This is a decision the board makes in this district and has been historically the case. Other districts, board members are at the table, but not in Suffern. And anytime the attorneys are at the table, they have guidance from the full board, not from certain members of the board. We discuss it collectively, and we decide how to proceed on every item that they're proceeding on. And lastly, I need to make this very clear. When this contract negotiation and another contract were coming up for time to negotiate, Superintendent Dr. Douglas Adams made the decision to utilize the services of that law firm to represent the administration. That was not a board decision. The board wanted a law firm representing the board in as listening and reporting back to us the facts, because we had some. We had some miscommunications happening with a couple of contracts earlier this year. So the board just wanted someone at the table reporting back the facts and letting us know what's going on. It's not up to the Board of Education to decide who negotiates, because that's the administration's choice. And Dr. Adams made that choice, that he wanted the same law firm representing. I'm not going to go back and forth. I just wanted to clarify what I already know.
I understand. My name is Robert DeBellis. I'm the president of our union.
1 second, and that concludes my comments, but
I just want to say something to you. Dr. Adams, Anthony Kashera, and Harvey told me that they had a contract for me. They said, he actually told me that you guys, or one of you, I don't know who, put a stop to it. It was already to be signed without opening the contract.
I'd love to talk to you after, so
Okay.
Thank you very much for your comments. That's not an approval, but.
No, I know.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like a motion to,
Why are we stalling?
Dr. Castaldo, any closing comments?
Nobody knows.
I would just encourage anyone that could attend the dedication tomorrow for the Thurgood Marshall part of Route 17. It's going to be a great ceremony, and there is a reception here afterwards. If it's raining, the entire dedication and the conversation will be here in this building, but it certainly would be worthwhile to see, so I encourage you to attend.
Thank you, Dr. Castaldo. And again, I went accidentally and not intentionally off order here. And at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Anyone? Adjourn. Mrs. Reamer, second.
Second.
Mr. Kern. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against? Any abstains? Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.